Previously on Anything Goes.
And they're popular. I just personally don't think they're funny. As opposed to, like, fuck those guys.
Right, right.
I mean, what is that?
I think that comes with age, too, though.
Well, this is show business. We're not in politics.
Yeah.
These aren't leaders. If you don't like them, that's fine. There's no reason to shit on them necessarily if they're not doing anything to you. Or, you know, who cares if people like them?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to make any life or death decisions that are really going to affect you.
But some of these guys are great comics. And I think a lot of times, like I've been in Comedy Death Ray, where you get an old-timey guy, someone in my generation who they don't know, who they would have dismissed as a hack, come up and kill with fairly pedestrian jokes. So what that tells me is that they don't really know the difference until somebody tells them. So I think there are lines drawn that are elitist based on, you know, contempt prior to investigation.
Right. I always think that there's something, you know, as hacky as a bit or a premise might be, there's someone out there that hasn't heard the shopping cart with a wobbly wheel observation before.
Yeah, well, that's a little sad.
Well, yeah, it is sad as it is, but you know,
you're not doing that one, are you?
Yeah,
no. That's my closer.
That's his closer. He actually brings out a cart, there's a song and a puppet.
I asked the management, hey, just press play on the CD player. I'm doing my shopping cart bit.
And now, let's get to a new exciting show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for some laughs? Are you?
Don't touch that dial. It was molested and it brings back horrible memories. This is Anything Goes with Darren Frost,
How the fuck am I funny?
Dave Martin,
What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
and Kathleen McGee.
And I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you!
Can you dig it?
Are you recording, Dave?
Yeah, I need a hair and makeup department. I cut myself.
Oh. So I recently fell into a wormhole of Family Feud with Steve Harvey, watching like the dumbest answers of all time.
Yeah.
You know, I would watch it with my kids. It's a funny. He overacts a lot, Steve Harvey, with the answers, but you know there are some funny answers for sure.
It's not very sexual too. Like there's lots of very like innuendo.
Oh.
Which is I think it's better than in the 80s and 70s when it was rapey. When the hosts
would kiss everyone. Yeah.
Oh, come on. You never liked the Richard Dawson years where he would uncomfortably kiss every female that was on the show?
Oh my God. That's just like not, it's so funny that that's like kind of creepy now, but before it was just like, no. That's just what a gentleman does.
But you know what I noticed, because I watched a few of them, and obviously I've worked with him. If you close your eyes, when Steve Harvey talks, he sounds very much like Jerry D, who of course fronts the Canadian version.
Right.
Like their voices, they have some of the same inflection, and especially when he yells like, "Man, you know, answer on the board." It sounds like Jerry D. It's the weirdest thing.
I wonder if Jerry D watched like a bunch of episodes and kind of is like, because that's not like Jerry D doesn't like if you watch his stand-up, you're not like, oh, that's Steve Harvey talking, but like maybe the way he does it,
maybe.
Jerry D's recently got into the whole difference between white people and black people stuff. So I think that's a little bit. But I always liked. I mean, maybe I didn't think it was creepy at the time, but I was like a kid. But do you remember when Bob Barker would get women to put their hands down his pants to get the five?
Oh, yeah.
Like in his pockets?
Yes. Yeah.
Down his pants. But that
is down your pants. But I mean, yeah, if you won the exact amount of money, and he would be like, I got an extra $100 right here in my pocket, and it wouldn't be the coat pocket, it would be the pants pocket, and you could always see his disappointment when a guy would win because he would just be like, here's your $100. Yeah, asshole. Yeah. Why couldn't Little Miss Tits over there win the $100 and she could
Little Miss Tits.
Little Miss Tits. I wonder if we're ever going to go back to a time where it's like fun to joke about sex. But I mean, I don't know if that's, I don't know. It's such a weird, because like the stuff that people, would you stop trying to help my arm? Sorry. See, even he's being overly aggressive.
he doesn't want you to make fun of sex either. He wants sex.
I just like you can't really joke about, well, you can't really joke about anything very much anymore without at least somebody getting offended.
Well,
yeah, of course. To me, that's always happened. It's just you have an ability now to voice it much more. I mean, we've all toured through the shitty towns and done jokes that we know work in the big towns. The little towns, they don't work so well, and people got upset and blah blah blah. And you know, we're small town people. That horseshit argument. Although we all grew up in, well, not you, Dave, but I did. Grew up in a small town, so don't give me that argument. But it's always been there. It's just now people can voice it way more.
Yeah, like I got stuck in a TikTok rabbit hole this weekend. I just went on it and I couldn't get off of it. Right. I don't know what was wrong. And I just kept on watching it, and I think we talked about this last week, but I'm just like, it is such a weird app because people think they're truly celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching people do lives, and I guess you can only go live if you have over 1,000 followers or something. So there's these people who have, like, they're doing lives, and there's like maybe 40 people at the most watching this live at one time, but they're behaving like they're actual celebrities, and it's very odd. Like, I think celebrity culture is almost gone. Like, it's just such a weird thing watching people on TikTok and then talking about how they deal with narcissists. I'm like, you're a narcissist.
Well, yeah, of course.
TikTok. You're spending your entire day making little videos and dancing to get a little bit of attention. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, and I don't own any degrees, but, like, I mean, this is just a crazy study of the human psyche and the narcissist side of our society. Like, it's crazy. Just watch it. I found myself watching things and being, like, laughing and also feeling really bad for that person. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's sort of like, also if people are promoting themselves as personalities, I get that, but also there's no financial gain.
No.
But also at the same time, it's sort of like, I don't necessarily think that anyone should go into being an artist, quote unquote, hoping for financial gain. It should just be, like, because I don't think anyone should start doing stand-up so they could sort of be famous and make lots of money. I think that could be something that could happen eventually down the road. But
that's why people are getting into this now, because they think they're going to be rich and famous, and they're not.
Right. I don't think that's very healthy because, especially if you're someone that's sort of, like, Kathleen, you're a comic, so you'll always be able to tell jokes, but these people that are literally just riding off, posting sexy pics and stuff like that, it's sort of like that must be a thought in the back of their head that at some point someone is going to be younger than me, sexier than me, going to be able to post more than me, and eventually I'll be shut out. And what will I have to show for it but just this desperation for acknowledgement, There
is going to be, like, a huge issue in a few years down the line when all these people, because it is this thing, you get this acknowledgement, you get people liking you get people saying, oh, that was funny. So it's like this huge, like, validation machine. But as soon as, like, those people go away, what are these poor people that have, like, 100,000 followers in a year when this isn't going to be as big of a deal? It's going to be hard on them mentally.
Well, look at, you can compare it very much to child actors who become famous and then have a real hard time with adolescence and then adulthood. And you can also compare it to what Dane Cook went through, because Dane Cook harnessed the energy of MySpace, of course, on the back of jokes, but then he came out the other end of it nowhere near as big of a comic as he probably thought he would be, or thought he'd have a longevity with it. And he has to kind of come to terms with it. Although he's an adult, he wasn't like an 18-year-old boy when he went through it, or a girl. So there is that sense. It's not going to be easy at all. There's going to be a lot of Todd Bridges and a lot of, Dano Platos. There's going to be.
I guarantee, like, people are going to be, like, quitting their jobs. Like, oh, I'm TikTok famous now. Right. I have a beer sponsor, so now I don't have to have a job. But it's kind of like, I just got too stuck in it this weekend. I couldn't get off of TikTok. I was just, like, watching it. I made a couple videos myself, and I never get anything on it. But I just was just like, some of the stuff was just so painful to watch.
And try to look at it from a parent's point of view.
Yes.
Like, my kids do not go on any of that stuff for the most part. They don't have Facebook accounts or a little bit of Instagram. That's it.
Yeah.
But you try to get them to go work. You try to go get them to do something that's going to be a job that requires a certain amount of talent or whatever. And this whole generation will be, well, I could just be internet famous, can't I? That's an actual job that they think they might be able to get. And of course, just like in comedy, we all thought we may make it, we may not, and only a small percent do. It's way smaller on the internet than it is in even comedy.
Yeah, but you don't go and do 2 open mics and then quit your 9-to-5 job.
Right,
like you
right.
stay at it for years and years and years until you start money. But here, there's people on TikTok. They're like, "Oh, I'm quitting my job because I'm just gonna make videos full time." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
And maybe I'm an old guy front lawn, but any of these videos I see, I don't even think they're that funny or that great. They're short, of course, so you can quickly watch a bunch. I understand that. But I don't even like, I think we talked about this before, but that video of the woman who redoes Trump's voice, she just moused the voice. I watched one because now she's got her Netflix special and all this stuff. And I'm like, hey, use the game. I'm happy for you. But when I watch her videos, I didn't even think they were that great.
No, she's just lip syncing. So, but I mean, I don't, I mean, I guess, good for her that she's made it into something, but
Absolutely.
I don't know that, I mean, but she's not going to be able to perform live, or is she? Or is she just going to go on stage?
She's got followers.
Donald Trump? I know, but what do followers mean?
Well, like we've talked about in the past,
I know.
1 in 10 shows up, she'll fill a comedy club, and maybe she'll be able to roll this into something else. But I'm just saying, like, I watched that and I'm like, I'm a 50-year-old dude. I have no fucking idea why this is big. 20 years ago, if you had told me there was a Food Network, I'd been like, get the fuck out of here. 20 years ago, if you would have told me lip syncing will get you to be rich instead of spending 30 years plugging away at a show, it doesn't make sense to me.
But there's millions of people on that app that literally think that they're a star. And that's the thing. And also, it's kind of like, I am getting a little pissed off and annoyed because I worked fucking hard to be a performer and make that my life. And I sacrificed a ton of shit. So someone comes along and gets a bunch of TikTok viewers and then they are automatically, I'm on the same level as you. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you perform 30-second skits on TikTok. Like, you need to slow it down. Like, it's,
but I mean, that's no different. That's no different of when you're a headliner and a kid pops in the car because you're driving for 2 hours and they tell you about the business.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a common theme. It's cyclical. It's going to happen over and over again. But I like to think I didn't do that much. We all do it a little bit, but I like to think I didn't do it that much. But there's been a lot of young comics that get in my car and tell me about the business.
I even hate giving advice and like and talking about it now. Like, I don't. But I heard like comics like 2, 3, 4 years in just explaining how it all works, and I'm like, you've never even been on the road. Like, you've never truly been on the road.
But I think that woman that did the lip syncing for Trump. First of all, I mean, she was a performer before.
100%. 100%.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Right. But I also don't think the idea of being on the road and necessarily paying your dues means all that much anymore.
No.
It doesn't.
No.
I mean, we would all like it to.
People that did that and give them any kind of like, oh, that's really cool that you did that. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, but I also don't think that necessarily old school, and when I say old school, I mean even like 10 or 15 years ago level of like, there isn't that hierarchy anymore, or there's not that respect for the traditional ways of climbing the comedy ladder of like starting out at open mics, getting off of going open mics, amateur nights at a comedy club, getting off amateur nights at a comedy club, co-featuring, hosting, and then co-headlining, and then headlining. There isn't that respect for that anymore, where someone could easily just do a couple of open mics, maybe do a couple of amateur nights, and then all of a sudden realize, you know what, I don't want to go up the old ladder the old way.
Right.
I'll just get an online following and build an audience that way. I mean, also a lot of people look at Doug Stanhope and then think that, oh, well, maybe that's what he did because he just does his old thing. They forget the fact that Doug Stanhope did 20 years of doing, or 25 years of doing clubs. But
my point is, Dave, I'm not saying anything what you're saying, I 100% agree that you don't have to pay your dues or any of that shit. All I'm saying is I don't understand how these people are now stars and able to monetize it and be a bigger star in show business than someone that has put in 30 years or 20 years or 10 years doing it the other way. It's just, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me that it's entertainment. But they're not targeting me. They're targeting my kids and people that age. So be it.
But they'll see, but it's kind of like the whole Louis C.K. thing where like Louis C.K. started doing a new hour of comedy every year, Dave Chappelle, and then now all the comics are like, oh, I'm doing a new hour every year. But they don't have the level of skill that those two comics have.
Right.
So these new kids will see someone like Andrew Schultz who built his own empire. He did it. He did. He built his own empire. He put it out himself, but he had the talent. He had the skill set. That's the thing, is he had the skill set there, so that when he was asked to perform, he could.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's going to be a lot of disappointing.
Also, Andrew Schultz also did clubs for 10 years.
But what I'm saying is they'll see, and he did in his own way, and they'll see that and they'll think, oh, that's easy. He didn't have to do open mics. He did, and they don't know what his true story is.
Right.
And sometimes these people, they may not have the talent or the background yet, and they may rise to the occasion and become that talent. That's also possible. I'm not saying that's not. You know, there are comics that were just okay funny. They get a special, they write up to it, and they pull it off. I saw that with Comedy Now many times. I'm not going to lie to you. I knew many comics that got an hour Comedy Now. I'm like, they don't have an hour. And then I went to a taping, and I'm like, man, they worked their ass off, and they got to the hour. So it is possible to become that. I'm just saying some of the ways that you do it now doesn't make sense.
But yeah, just signing up for a TikTok account does not make you an artist.
Hey, this is Kelly Taylor, and you're listening to Anything Goes on Sirius XM.
It'd probably take me about 5 takes.
That's fine.
Okay, right now?
Yeah.
This is Kelly What the fuck is that? This is Kelly Taylor on Sirius XM, listening to Anything Goes. Is that the right order?
No, you're listening to Anything Goes on Sirius XM.
Okay. This is Kelly Taylor. You're listening to Anything Goes on Sirius XM.
Tate?
Yeah.
There we go.
That
Perfect.
works. Sure.
That's good.
Like a question mark. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. All right. One thing I posted this week I wanted to bring up is about the idea of the hills that people want to die on. And I'm always surprised at some of the hills that people want to die on.
Yeah,
not just comics.
That was sort of a vague, and it drives me crazy with vague posts. But what was that very vague post?
First of all, it's not vague because
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't, because there's many things there. If you want to know a particular thing that day, was really the Elliot Page situation.
Right.
Where people are like, I'm not going to refer to him as Elliot anymore. It's Ellen to me. And my attitude is, really, what does it really matter? I don't get it. I don't get this. We're rewriting history. No, we're not. We're not saying, Jews didn't die in World War II. We're saying this person is now a man and wants to be seen as a man and wants to be called a man. So what? I don't understand the hatred online of that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's the same as people that won't wear masks. Like you're literally going to die on that hill. But like you really feel that the government is trying to control you by asking you to put a mask on. Like I work with the public. I deal with anti-maskers on almost a daily basis.
Right.
Today I got called a stupid cunt because I asked somebody to wear a mask. And I'm like, just like,
hey, who are they calling stupid?
I'm a cunt. I'm 100% cunt. I'm not stupid. I'm just a cunt.
Well, I mean,
I'm a 4.0 cunt. All right, I have degrees, motherfucker.
Well, it's just that, like, first of all, I see a bunch of right wingers, like Ben Shapiro or Graham Allen, goes on, and it's sort of like, hey, first of all, the right wing should stay away from culture and the arts and everything else. It doesn't belong to you. It's like the liberal left has the arts. That's, other than some country music. And then you'd ask most country music performers how they feel, and they're probably more left than they are right. They just
that they want to admit to their fans. Yes.
Right. It's the same thing with Ann Coulter and all those assholes as well. But it's I mean, I love the people who's like, I'm not going to refer to her as Elliot. It's like, first of all, you're probably never going to meet her or him. And second of all, it's just ranting about literally stuff that is never, ever going to affect you at all in your life.
Right.
And it's just, and it's embarrassing and creepy how much they care. And then when Ben Shapiro goes into this long rant about like, well, you can call yourself anything you want, but that doesn't take away the fact that medically this is what you are, and this is what it's sort of like what you are and how you feel or should be two different things. It's sort of like when people get that round up about it.
I can't understand someone being pro-gay and anti-trans or anti-use of the right pronoun. I don't understand it.
I mean, I'll call anybody whatever they want to be called. I mean, I prefer to call someone by their name, whatever they want their name to be.
Right.
The only one that I sort of have issue with when you want to call a single person they, that's the one that I'm not on board with. Well, they is plural.
Yeah,
well,
but
for a while I thought it was like somebody that was like kind of like I don't know the right term, so I don't want to say something.
They
wrong.
don't identify male or female, so therefore they need a pronoun. That's why they use they. I understand your point there, Dave, but that's why they do it. That's the reason.
But I also saw somebody on their profile that says my pronouns are she, her, they, them, and I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm like, you're both. I don't know. And so I understand the confusion. And you just want to.
To me, intent is everything. Intent is everything in this argument. Yeah. If like we all know someone that has that went from being a man to a woman, Laura Ray. We should actually have her on the show, and maybe we will next week. But I have a lot of memories when she was Al, and sometimes I still struggle when I think to call that person something. The word he sometimes enters my head, and I actually feel shame isn't the right word, but bad for doing that because I know I'm not supposed to. My intent is to not mislabel them. My intent is to label them correctly, but my memory is still kind of fucked up because of knowing that person for as long as I did as the other gender. So to me, if I know that and I still call them he when it's a she, I'm a fucking cunt.
But at least you're making an attempt to try and not saying, I'm never going to call Ellen Page Elliot. Like, you're not. Yeah.
I also just don't think. I think that if you do change your pronouns, I think you should really lay off of jumping down someone's throat in anger if they get it wrong. I mean, this is the idea of changing pronouns and changing your identity. It's still a fairly new thing as far as the 2000s go, and so it's just like you got to give people a chance to learn, and again, give people a chance to. Just give people a break. If I screw up in your name, please know that it's not like my intent to make you feel bad. I'm just maybe not completely aware of what you like to call yourself. And it's once
again, that's all intent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of people freaking out when they get misgendered.
Right.
And it's sort of like, it's just people are only going to believe what their eyes see. And if they see someone that they think is a guy, then they're going to say sir. And if they see someone they think is going to be a woman, they'll just say madam.
But you know what? I understand that. But now if I don't know, I don't use either one.
Yeah.
What do you use?
I say they or, I don't use he or she with them.
Just avoid gendering anybody as much as you can.
It's like back in the 70s and 80s when you met someone, you automatically assumed they weren't gay, right? That they'd have a significant other that was a woman. So you say, do you have a girlfriend or do you have a boyfriend? Do you even say that to people anymore? I don't.
Well,
I say, do you have a partner? Are you dating? You don't say boyfriend unless you know for a fact they're not gay. Like just a new paradigm, I guess.
I don't know. I've never liked the term partner just because it sounds like you're in some business together or something like that.
But my point is, I don't say partner. I say, are you dating or you're going out with someone? But I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
But I don't ask boyfriend or girlfriend anymore. So.
I don't know. I just assume that most people depends who they are, really.
And I think that when people get upset at people for being misgendered. It comes from a place of frustration where I'm
Right.
sure they've been constantly misgendered and
Yes.
like. I mean, it's the same as like, I mean, if you say to a woman, "Oh, you look tired today. You look tired today." Yes, I'm fucking tired today. Like, if you keep getting it at you, you're going to explode. And
Yeah,
some people are better at controlling it than others. And you also have to understand that some of these people are on a lot of different hormone medications, which
Right.
change
But-
your chemical balance.
Oh, I know that can make you temperamental.
Yes.
But I just think it's sort of like if yeah, I don't as long as the misgendering isn't out of viciousness or being mean or something like that. It's just yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or you're throwing that staff down going, I'm never going to say this. I'm never going to call him Ellen or Elliot or whatever. It's just, that's where I don't get it. It's just so much, for me to say so much anger wasted. I mean, it's hypocritical because in the 90s, no one screamed about things more than me, but hopefully I learned from my lessons because it's just so much wasted energy.
Well, also one thing with like what I find with trans women is because they're discovering that when they become a woman, their looks mean everything.
Right.
Their looks mean, however you meet somebody, whenever you meet, your looks as a woman are everything. As a man, you can show up looking kind of whatever, but if you are a woman and you're going out and you're not put together and you don't look beautiful, then it's going like it's and you know, if you're a trans woman, you're learning how to look like a woman, how to
Right.
talk, you know. So it's like I just becoming a woman is not as easy as it sounds, and it's probably a shock to people when they start to realize that as a woman now, my looks are the only thing that matters to most people when they first meet me.
Right. Well, but it's so weird. But people want like trans women wanting to live up to societal norms, but aren't they supporting the patriarchy sort of when they feel like, oh, all my looks just are the only things that matter?
It's because as a woman, you just want to fit in. You just want people to see who you are. So now you're officially a woman, and you're learning that it's really like it's so much about how you look. It doesn't matter, and no people can say whatever they want to say. It has not changed.
Right.
You know, how you look will always be commented on. What you're wearing, you know, if you're feminine enough, if you're butch or anything, you know, it's a constant thing men don't deal with. And Dave, maybe you need to live as a woman for 1 month just to see this, like, because I don't think you fully understand. Like, I don't think any guy that has never like a woman.
I understand it. It also but it goes back so far of like, but I mean, even the whole idea, like, what is makeup for? Why do people put makeup on?
To make yourself look better, different than what you actually look like.
Yeah, but for who?
For
like,
the
to attract a man or another woman or someone that you want to look sexually attractive.
Okay, but that's a different argument. You're talking now just about the idea of societal norms. I think most trans women, I'm going to guess here, want to feel normal. I hate to use that word, but for the world, normal is somewhat fitting in and being accepted in that group. Right. So therefore, they feel they have to do these things because that would make them be normal and fit in. Whether, none of us are normal, the three of us, none of us really fit in. That's why we're broken children, we're comics or whatever. But for them, I think they want to feel normal. And to them, they've been programmed normal is X and Y, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
We really should have had someone on that was trans, really, after talking this much about it. But
well, we can any time.
Yeah,
I'm just it's just I mean makeup is really, I mean, the idea, even like the idea of lipstick goes back to the idea of looking like you're sexually.
Yes. Now you're talking about something else. Now you're talking about why do women have to conform in general?
Well, they
and wear makeup and make themselves look prettier for men and all these things. Yeah, I mean, I don't like makeup. My wife wears very little makeup. I'm glad that she does. I've never liked a lot of makeup. To me, makeup is like the porn look. If you ever see the porn stars before makeup and after makeup, it's like, wow. It is unbelievable.
Yeah. but I mean, it's sort of like, but just the idea behind lipstick is to, because I mean, when a woman becomes aroused, her cheeks get flushed, or
Yes.
her lips become more red, and it's, I mean, and makeup basically is used to create that look of being sexually charged without necessarily being sexually charged. So
I don't know the history of makeup or who invented it, or like I know Egyptians started using it, and I actually know that men, like male Egyptians, used makeup as well. I don't know why it continued that just women should wear it. But yeah, like I don't know the history of makeup, but I think if women didn't have to do it, we wouldn't want to do it. But if I go out without makeup on my face, people will dismiss you. We'll ask you if you're feeling sick. Or are you okay? Like I've gone out with no makeup on, and people are like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And I'm like, "I just don't have makeup on." Like it's this thing that people expect you to see you put together,
Right.
And if you're not, there's something wrong with you. Like you're depressed, you're sad. There's something wrong with you if you don't have your face put together.
And
as a
it's
woman.
funny because if I go out and I haven't shaved for a week and a half, and my hair is all like longer here and nothing here, and I look like shit, no one ever says to me, "Hey, what's wrong with you?"
but I mean,
That's the reality. No one ever says shit, but they think they can get away with it with women, I guess.
well, no, but I mean, some of this is women's fault because they don't look for the same high standards in appearance for men as men look for the high standards of appearance in women. I mean, that's why it's sort of like whenever they ask a woman, what do you look for in a guy? They always say sense of humor, stability.
Right.
Is he good with kids? Is he a nice, does he have a successful job? And maybe.
So for Dave, that's all no. So go on.
Dave's become an incel.
Yeah.
It's women's fault. It's women's fault. It's goddamn fault.
It's not. Well, it's women's fault that they look for more in a guy than just appearance. I mean,
that's their fault.
No, well, it's not. No, it's not their fault. I think it should be commended. But for guys, and then women live up to what the guys want if they want to attract that. But then women feel like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that to make myself more attracted to a guy. And when in actuality, they probably don't. But it's sort of like if all the women said one day in a town, none of us are going to wear makeup. One woman would wear makeup, and then all of them are going to be like, oh well, okay, well fuck, if she's going to wear makeup, then I'm going to wear makeup, and then you'll eventually have the whole town wearing makeup. It's just sort of like this weird thing that that what people will do to make themselves.
Well, I just remember my mother said, if one person jumped off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff, Dave?
Probably, because I wouldn't have any friends anymore. I'm not gonna, if my one friend, but then again, I would need a collection of friends to jump off a cliff first. But
well, all I know is that the net went crazy about that story, and I was just like, there's so many people I almost deleted as friends, but I definitely unfollowed because I'm just like, I just don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah. I think that's that's been happening a lot. Is I don't unfriend people, I just unfollow. I just don't want to hear what they have to say. There's a one comic that keeps on coming on to my comment. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with conspiracy theories, and I'm just like every time I'm like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear your fucked up theory about how 5G is making it. I don't care. Like, why do you continue to come here and do that? And like, I don't know. You must have. There's problems and stuff, but it's kind of like, stop bringing it out to me. I've had enough of it.
To me, if it's a group, post away. If it's your own wall, post away. But if it's my wall, why are you bringing, like, if I post something about, the weather, and then all of a sudden you post something about 5G on that thread, I'm like, where do you think this is going to go? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Well, I mean, as far as everyone was thinking that the COVID was coming from the 5G and the cell phone towers. And it's sort of like, you know what? If you literally told someone, if you make one more phone call on your cell phone, you'll get a brain tumor. And then that person would be like, well, what if I just text someone?
Yeah.
Or what if it's a really quick call? It's like nobody's giving up their phone because of 5G. And it's, I think it's just.
Man, nobody's giving up their phone after we heard about people jumping off the roof and killing themselves in the factories that make the phones. I mean, like, if people really had a heart, we would all put our phones down. If we really believed in mankind, we would all demand that shit wouldn't happen. but none of us are really doing anything about it.
Well, that's why it's sort of like if the extent of your ranting about conspiracy theories doesn't go anywhere but Facebook,
right?
Then I'm sort of like, shut the fuck up. You're not changing anyone's opinion. And I've had to literally tell people, listen, have this argument or I'll post something and then two other people get into an argument back and forth with each other on the thread that I started, and then it's just then I keep getting notifications, and then I have to literally direct message these two people and say, listen, argue somewhere else, because I'm going to start deleting comments.
Yeah.
And then someone says, oh, when the comedians become the censors, then we're really going downhill. But this is my Facebook or my Instagram or my whatever is my front lawn. Yeah. You know, if you're going to put a sign up there, I'm sorry, I'm going to take it down because it looks fucking ugly.
Right.
So.
And if you're going to put an ugly sign on, make sure it's got makeup on it, right? To attract another sign. Am I right, Dave?
That's right.
And I do understand, though, people will argue, well, don't you want people to comment on your stuff? I'm like, yeah, but don't be an asshole.
Right. You know.
Something I found with all of my social media, do you know where my most polite and fun commenters are? On my OnlyFans. That is where they're the most polite and they're the nicest. They'll send nice messages. And then like I'll get a message on Twitter from some guy named Lick Ninja that says, I want to come inside of you.
Yeah.
So like no one on my OnlyFans has ever said they want to come inside of me. Like,
well, because you I was going to say you can beat off. You can get rid of your OnlyFans. Like you can kick someone out of your OnlyFans, correct?
I can kick this guy off of Twitter. I can kick some guy off of any of my social media. I'm saying I don't get those kinds of messages there.
Right.
Because probably on your OnlyFans, people are like on their best behavior because they want to stick around. So
yeah. And also, I have so much respect for people, like men and women that actually. Am I frozen?
Yeah, but we still can hear you.
I can still hear you.
For I was talking to somebody else about like how OnlyFans is like the men that use OnlyFans for their porn. I have so much more respect for because they're actually paying the women. They're not just going onto Pornhub and watching something and jerking off and then forgetting about it and not realizing that those women, you know, sometimes they're not in a good situation in that porn. But on OnlyFans, you're like paying for it. You're giving money to the person. It's just like I feel like I know ethical porn is a thing, but I think it's like kind of very awesome. So every guy that follows me, I have like so much more respect for, and I communicate way more with people on my OnlyFans than I would somebody just DMing me on Twitter.
Right. Yeah. And so you should. But
to me, I've always said the more that we get the middleman out of everything, the better it is for the artist. Period. If there is, you know, a better way to get, like, I still buy music from the bands that I like. I also use, you know, the streaming services. But if it's a band that is a smaller band that I like, I still buy copies of their albums.
Yeah.
Well, same thing is happening like in Edmonton right now in the hospitality industry because Kenny refuses to lock down. So all these restaurants are open, but nobody's in them, and he won't lock down because he doesn't want to have to financially support any of these businesses. That's why he's not doing it. So a bunch of Edmonton restaurants got together and said that they're going to just close themselves and stay open for delivery and takeout on their own without being told to because it's the right thing to do. And then one point that they make is like, if you want to order from us and you can, please order through our website or call because then we don't have to pay Uber Eats and we don't have to pay additional. And the money is going directly to the restaurant. And these small restaurants are really struggling right now. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's another thing. It's just like, I think that, like, that's why we're losing all these artists and all these restaurants is because we're all going for the easiest way. Because it's way easier to just order on Uber Eats than it is to call a restaurant, drive there, pick it up yourself.
Right.
But I think we're going to lose so much. And we are going to become an Amazon society where everything just gets delivered by drone.
If people realized how much restaurants pay or lose on these DoorDash and Uber Eats, they would be shocked. Like, I read an article once, I don't know if it's true or not because, you know, it's media, but when I saw the breakdown of like DoorDash, I was like, wow, that is bad. That is really bad for the restaurant, but they do it because they never want it to be the bulk of their income. It's just a little bit of extra money, so they could work on smaller margins because it was never supposed to represent the whole amount they were supposed to get, and that's the problem. Now it's the whole amount. So yeah, like I think I've used DoorDash once, and that was well before I saw this article. I don't use Uber Eats. I'm able to drive and I have a car, so I'm lucky. But yeah, those services are not good.
Well, I mean, I think they serve a necessary purpose, I suppose, for some places that can't afford their own drivers. But
right.
But I've never used an Uber Eats or a Skip the Dishes or any food delivery service unless it was like from a pizza place that has their own drivers.
Right.
But I'm like, I've seen some people that get. It's just like if you get something picked up by Uber Eats, that guy has like another couple of other places he has to go to.
Right.
And if your food is the first place that he goes, who knows when you're going to actually get it? So, I mean, for my own security and my own love of freshness, I will always go and drive to the place,
right,
pick it up. And I know some people physically can't, but you know,
yeah, like it serves a purpose. Like there are people that actually do need this service, but if you don't need it, do the little bit of extra effort just to like make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not gonna lie. Before COVID, I never used to tip on takeout, and now I tip on takeout.
Oh yeah, I always tip on takeout.
I never did.
Why wouldn't you tip on takeout?
Because my attitude is the service of sitting down and clearing the table and refilling water. That was part of the service. Takeout is removing that part. So I'm paying for the food and I'm doing the other part on my own. So I never used to. I'm just being honest. I never tipped, but now I always tip 20% on takeout.
Like when you go to pick something up?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't do that very often.
A lot of people don't. Like I work in a restaurant. A lot of people, but whenever somebody tips on takeout, I'm like, I like that person. They're a good person.
Right.
Well, yeah. If she's
when they know it, I'm like, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
If she's good looking, I will tip her.
Oh,
I don't know why that gets.
Right.
Well, she's got to pay for makeup, Dave.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
She doesn't
makeup
have
is not
to.
cheap.
She does not have to.
She does not have to, but if she wants to attract more
if she
tips,
wants to get a tip from Dave Martin, she better pretty that face up.
Fucking right.
Well, no, don't do it for me because I already told you that you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm always one for a personality too. So.
But if you literally, Dave, if you went to a restaurant and all the waitresses had no makeup on, you'd be like, "What is happening here?" You would be.
Yeah, well, that's
why
I don't need
to fight the patriarchy. You wouldn't be like that. You'd be like, "What's wrong with these girls?"
Yeah, they all have COVID. What's wrong with their faces?
No, I would be like, "Oh man, is every girl here a stand-up comic because they refuse to wear makeup?" And
what are you talking about?
No,
you're digging yourself deep today, David.
No, I'm not. I know. I'm not digging myself a hole or anything. I don't believe. But I mean, hey, if you worked as a server and if you found that your tips got better when you put makeup on and you dolled yourself up, I mean, what does that say? It's sort of like, well, that says something about customers and some societal norms that people.
Well, it's like when you go to a strip club, the waitresses sometimes are prettier than the dancers, and they make a shit ton in tips, and there's a reason for that.
Well, I don't know if they make a shit ton.
They make a lot of money, and I'll tell you why. And this is my little theory, and I've talked to a few of them, and I've talked to some dancers about this. Guys actually believe they might have a shot with the waitress. They know they have no shot with the dancer because it's a transaction. They know this is probably not going to go anywhere. But if I come around here enough and I tip big enough and get to know her, I might have a shot.
Right. Well,
Sean the Convert has one of my favorite jokes. I'm probably going to butcher it, but he says, whenever I see a woman walking towards me smiling, I know she's my server.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I worked at a racetrack, and oh my God, did I ever lay it on thick on some of those older guys because they tipped good. I would sit and listen and laugh at everything.
Yeah, it was like when you dated Dave. You just sit there and laugh and listen. And
oh, she would sit there and laugh and listen.
Yeah.
Not often enough, but I'm just joking. I'm joking.
This is William Forsythe, and you're listening to Anything Goes with Darren Frost.
But I mean, of course, yeah. And sometimes those guys that are tipping you don't necessarily think it's going to go any farther than a tip.
Right.
They just want to give you a little bit of extra money, and they think that, oh, I'm being nice to a girl and a girl's going to be nice back to me, and they probably don't think it's going to go any farther than that one sitting at the racetrack thing, but you know.
Oh, lots of servers get phone numbers written down.
Oh yeah.
Oh sure.
And we're always like, look who gave us a phone number.
I have never done that. I've never, not a waitress, bartender, 30 years on the road, even when I was single, I never ever did that. Now go, Dave. Have you ever done that?
I'm sure, yeah.
Done what?
Given your phone number to a waitress or a bartender?
Oh
yeah.
Yes. That's a yes.
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 And did they contact you?
That's a no.
Well, I don't want to tell you.
That's a no.
No. She did contact me, but also she worked at a restaurant that was attached to a comedy club.
Yeah, so you're a comic.
Right.
No, I'm talking about a stranger. I'm not talking someone that you worked in a comedy club. I'm talking about you went to a restaurant or a bar, you had a little exchange because she's your waitress or bartender, and you slipped her your phone number to them. Have you ever done that?
No.
Okay. Have you ever done that, Kathleen?
Have I ever slipped a server my phone number? No. I've had numbers given to me.
From waiters and waitresses, or like?
No, from when I was a server.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've said before, I'm performing in town this weekend at said comedy club.
Yeah.
If
I bet you have.
Because Dave knows that a woman, as much as you want.
Cut out. I want to hear this.
No, I do too.
Yeah, hold on, Kathleen, because when you come back, I want to hear this. My favorite thing is when you go shopping with a comic in a mall and they're in a clothing store and they always say, I need to get something for stage. And so the girl's like, oh, for stage? Why stage? And they're like, oh, because I'm a comic. Oh, okay, go ahead. What's your story?
Okay. I've just seen so many like unfuckable male comics charm a girl because I'm a stand-up comedian, and that's one of the jobs, like fireman, stand-up comedian, athlete. Like those are just jobs.
Is that the order? Oh, good. I like that. Fireman, stand-up comic, athlete. I'm glad I didn't work out. Go ahead.
It's mostly because, like, as a female comic, no one's ever tripping over themselves to talk to me. Like, I will be sitting at the bar by myself while some homely male comic is leaving with 3 girls because they're like, he's a comedian, and I want to tell my friends I fucked a comedian. Like, I don't get it.
And Dave is like, where's that gig? That's what Dave is saying.
Well, if they realize how not very difficult that is to fuck a comedian, they probably wouldn't be that proud.
That's another reason why I worked with a guy once, and he had a joke where he said, I've never come from a blowjob.
Oh, yeah.
And like literally he every time after a show girls would come over, I'm like, I bet you I could give you a blowjob where you come. I'm like, you fucking creep. So then I started saying I've never come from a man going down on me, and it never worked.
Oh, well, I mean, but then again, I've seen a lot of like comics.
But if the two of you 69'd, then you're done.
Well, yeah.
Both of you could never say that on stage again.
Yeah.
Take it for the team, Kathleen, is all I'm saying, please.
Unless someone's 69 and someone finished first, and then the other person has to keep going in that same position.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
I always love it when comics do that. I love it when comics, it's my anniversary, send me shots. I think we all knew who I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, I've known lots of comics that go and they're almost always married or in relationships, but then they always portray themselves to be this big champion of women, and then they talk about how much that they're for women's rights and all this stuff, and and then they're all like, oh, I support women, I this and I that, and then they got off stage, and it's just a long con into getting a girl in the audience of just to come up and be like, oh, you're so funny, and I love how supportive of women you are. And I'm like, those. It's just a long ladder.
Don't we call that the Jamie Kilstein effect?
Well, I don't know. I know he's gotten in some trouble lately, or has before. There was a blog I once saw where a girl talked about how you should not date a comedian and it was just funny because I'm reading this article and I'm kind of agreeing with everything that she's saying about how when you date a comic, and I could and female comics would do the same thing about like that going out to one of their shows they'll consider a date. You know, they'll be like, oh hey, come and see me at hey we're gonna go out to this we'll go out to this restaurant or bar, and I just happen to have a show on there too, and then they talk about, you know, getting worked into someone's act and things like that. So, but it's just, I also think probably the amount how exposed stand-up is these days. I also can see that being a comedian probably isn't as desirable as it was like, you know, 10 years ago or 20, you know, 15, 20 years ago or something, when it sort of seemed like stand-up was like, whoa, what's that all about? It's like now there's so many stand-up nerds and comedy nerds that like when we pulled back the curtain so much on what being a comedian is, you don't think it would be as sort of, it's not up there with firemen anymore, I don't think.
It's still above athletes. It's still above athletes. That's all I care about.
If you date someone that you did not meet through comedy, when do you allow them to come see you? Because I don't like, whenever I met some guy that I didn't meet because of comedy, I wouldn't want him to come see me for a really long time.
Well, I have to make sure that they like me off stage first, and then, but then again, it's sort of like, then I have a YouTube page that they can go to and watch my act, and yeah. But I mean, they have to enjoy me first. Anyway,
whenever I went on a date with a guy who knew I was a comedian and it was his idea to come to a show as a date, I'm like, oh, this is just like you're just not checking female comedian off of your having sex with list. Like,
like for me, I never let, so my wife, Brandy, I got to know her because it's a long story. We don't need to get into it, but she didn't come and see me for at least a month. And when she did come and see me, the manager at the comedy club at the time, Mike Breslin, pulled me aside and said, man, are you okay? I'm like, why? He's like, I've never seen you that angry. I mean, I've seen you hundreds of times. You have never been that angry before. Like, I was just all out. And I'm like, well, I guess my attitude is like, she might as well see the kind of worst of it that it could possibly be. And she still wanted to hang out with me after the show, but she did tell me her aunt came to the show and said to her, he is not the one for you. And I do not bring that up. I bring it up so many fucking times. Every time we have to go see that aunt.
I still haven't let Adam's parents see me. Like, I think live stand-up. Me doing live stand-up. I think I'd be okay with his dad seeing me, but there's no way. His sweet, wonderful, innocent angel mother, I don't want her to watch me talk about blue coffee.
Well, I mean, but my parents have never seen me either, so it's like, I don't really have any desire for them to see me either. I mean, it kind of sort of stuck in my craw maybe, you know, a couple, like 20 years ago, but not, I don't really give a shit anymore. But it's like, but yeah, I've been in situations where people have liked me before, and then they'll watch me on stage, or they'll watch a YouTube clip and they'll be like, you were a lot nicer off stage. And I was just like, well, you know, it's sort of my personality, and I crank it up a bit to 11, and they're like, yeah, I don't think we need to see each other. And I was just like, well.
That's happened to me with, like, when I meet a boy comic, and I'm like, oh, he's cute, like, and I'm like, I get a mini crush, and then I watch them and they're terrible. I'm like, yay.
Well, yeah, that's always the thing. I said on this show once before that I can fake I love you, but I can't fake I think you're funny.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that's and yeah, and so that's yeah. I've never dated a comic that I didn't think was funny.
Oh, that's nice. For me, my Brandy's parents actually saw me on a TV show, a little show called Gutterball Alley before meeting me. And in the episode, I am naked and I hump Johnny Guardhouse's leg in a park. And then I stand up, I turn around, I pull the t-shirt up, and it shows my asshole. And I'm playing a character, and I point at my asshole. Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Oh my God.
It's terrible. It's terrible. That was what they saw before they met me. And they're like, oh, we saw your boyfriend on TV.
Well, at least they were okay with it.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, they've been in the audience where I call her mama whore. Like they've been in the audience when there's a bit where I call her mama whore, and she laughed and they laughed. It was fine.
Yeah, because they have a sense of humor.
Right.
Well, I mean, my folks have a sense of humor. They just don't want to see it coming out of me.
That's right.
But,
They don't.
No, well, that's fine.
All right. Well, we've got to the hour.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to talk about Christmas, Darren.
We will. We'll do that next week. We'll be a week closer to Christmas.
Yeah, we'll be a week closer to Christmas.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
But I mean, I know a lot. I just want to say one thing though. I know a lot of guys are threatened by a woman being on stage too, or they think that a lot of guys want to be the funny person at a picnic or at a party.
Oh yes.
And so
I've gotten the you're intimidating thing a million times.
Right. But I mean, some guys will see that as intimidating. Other guys will see that as confidence, and they like that. So it's sort of like. I think it sort of goes both ways. I mean, and I think it's better that someone sees you sort of on stage and knows both sides of you before they sort of commit to keep going out with you and stuff. So
my attitude is I've never dated a comic for two reasons. One, I like the fact that my wife is doing something different, so it's a complete separation. I personally needed that. I can't have my whole life being about comedy. And also, number two, I would never date someone that isn't funny. And every girl that I find very funny, and there are many of them, wouldn't be interested in me. So, I mean, I'm fine with that. Right. But that was the other one was more important, having a separate thing. And I mean, I think with you, Kathleen, you kind of won the lottery with the fact that he's still kind of not in the comedy business, but in the bar business. So at least the understanding is there.
Yeah, and I met Adam at a show. Like he was front row at a comedy show, and I was hosting, so he saw me do comedy before we even dated. So
right.
Well, I mean, there was one situation where I chatted a girl up on stage from being on stage, but it was more. I mean, she was sitting with a group of people for a birthday party, and I asked her if she and it was literally I just asked this so I could go into a bunch of relationship jokes that I sort of already wanted to do. It's like a hosting MC sort of trick. And when she said that she wasn't with anyone at the table, first of all, from stage, I saw how pretty she was, and I was just so shocked.
Lots of makeup, yeah.
Well, lights are facing this way. She was that way, so the makeup was not a factor. But I was just so stunned that she was so pretty, and she wasn't with someone at the table. So I think that's probably the only time I've ever chatted anyone up at a comedy show from stage, but I'm pretty unapproachable off stage. So
I definitely have had like guys come up to me, and almost every time, if some guy comes up to me after a show and then asks for my number, I almost always, when I was single, would give it, because I'm like, that guy has like confidence that he's going to come up to a girl that was just standing on stage and clearly has a big mouth. So that was always attractive to me. And I think women are so sick of being asked out on a screen that they like Adam asked me out in real life. I'm like, God damn. You're a man.
Well, it's like the old argument with supermodels, right? A lot of them were single because a lot of the men didn't have the confidence to even think. And so then you see all kinds of these articles of like these supermodels not dating supermodel type men. And a lot of them say it's because they approached me and talked to me and I got to know them. And, that's a common thing, like especially with female comics.
But also I think too, a lot of guys will see some like a supermodel-ish-esque woman, and they'll be like, well, what do I have to offer? And they'll be like, oh, she probably wants me to have this, and this. And if the guy doesn't feel like that he has those, or he can't live up to what make-believe standards he has in his own head for what she wants, even though that might not have anything to do with what she's looking for, they'll be like, well, she's too good, or I'm out of her league. When in actuality, she probably wants some down-home guy that isn't all, glitz and glamour and just, drive some fancy car and something like that.
And Steve, confidence is very attractive. Confidence, men that will come up to a woman and take the chance of being shot down and have their feelings hurt or whatever. That just shows you that this person is like, has got like confidence and, believes in themselves. If they're willing to take a risk, and that's attractive to women. Sense of humor, risk taker.
Right.
And I just think that it's sort of like that. That's more attractive to a woman than a lot of other things. But that every guy thinks that they have to live up to some standard that she might not even be looking for. So it's yeah.
Well, next week I'm going to be in full makeup, and we'll see what Dave thinks.
I want Dave to live as a woman for a week.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Tell me.
Get
you
the cameras
figure it
ready.
out.
Well,
Figure
okay.
it out.
I don't.
Okay.
It's too tough being a chick. I don't want it.